So a lot has happened in the past, like, 24, maybe 36 hours since I last updated everybody. I went on the excursion. The excursion was crazy. I ended up going with Sabrina, who I think was someone that was actually perfect for me. Sabrina and I are about in the same place in our games. We hadn't gotten to talk to everybody on our tribes, but we had formed relations. Last I had heard, Sabrina was friends with Felix and Emily, and they also seem like cool people. Almost accidentally told Jack about the excursion, so that's a little bit concerning. We'll see how that plays out. Other than that, like, that excursion, we were offered an advantage based off of, like, the idea of, are we better off as individuals or better off together? And the going price of, so okay, I had already done this once and I messed it up, but essentially we were offered 3 hours of, like, we were allowed to communicate, me and Sabrina, and but the going price for 3 hours of communication every single round was our ability to idle search the entire season. And now we don't know much about idle searching. At that point, we didn't even know about the idle clue thing, which I'll tell you about later. So we're just sitting there and we're like, well, our friendship doesn't have to, like, just because we can't communicate for a couple rounds doesn't mean that we can't come together later in the game. So we decided to retain our ability to idle search, so that if we did find an idol or got an idol clue or whatever, we got an idol, we can bring that back, merge, or when we get a tribe swap and we end up together or something like that. So far, I did tell 2 people about it, the haters brunch, so Quinn and Riazzo both know the extent of everything. I told them the absolute truth about what happened. And then after that, I mean, we come to today. So today is Wednesday, Tribal Council Day, because we ended up losing the immunity challenge. Julia got stuck in a snowstorm and was out 6 hours traveling from Canada, driving, couldn't make it. And I think the general consensus pretty much the entire time was, hey, let's vote out Julia. She wasn't there. It wasn't fair. Blame Zeus. But there's nothing we can do. And I think a lot of us were on the same page. And then I'm in class, of all things, and I get an urgent text from Riazzo, and Riazzo's like, hey, can I call you? Something just happened. And I basically found out that Jude and Julia talked, and Jude had mentioned, well, maybe you're not going home. Maybe we can take out somebody else, but wouldn't give a name. And then Halid and Jude got on a call, and Jude again was kind of like, well, maybe, like, it could be Julia, but also maybe we could do something. And then Riazzo talked to Jude, and Riazzo kind of reassured Jude, hey, we're going to vote out Julia tonight. And then, Jude talked to me at one point, and then Grace, and then Quinn, I think, after Tribal Council. But, so, we kind of expected it to be out of 9 people. 8 of us vote Julia, 1 of us votes wherever Julia's vote goes. Now, the problem with this is that there was a new thing that was introduced, which essentially is that an idol clue is given out to whoever is not, whoever receives a vote but doesn't go home. So whoever Julia votes is going to get an idol clue whether they wanted it or not. Like, it's theirs. It's theirs to do what they want. I mean, they can say, like, oh, I'm not going to look at it or whatever, but, like, none of us are going to trust their word. So it is kind of like, to me, it kind of feels like the second you get one, like, that's kind of like sudden death almost. On top of that, we also have something where if you tie, right, if there's a tie vote, instead of going to rocks, it's whoever with the most previous amounts of votes, those are the people that go home. So, for example, if me and Riazzo both received, if I received a vote and Riazzo didn't, and there was a tie between me and Riazzo, I would go home, because I have more votes in past tribal councils against me. Now, this is where things get interesting, because, again, if we voted 8-1, 8 towards Julia, whoever Julia puts her vote on gets an idol clue, but also in a tie would go home first. So, simple enough, right? The problem is that no one had really talked to Julia. I don't even think half our cast was able to call Julia before our tribal council. So Julia didn't really know anyone. And then in tribal council decided that the way that she was going to vote was by Google Randomizer. Yeah, we don't know who Julia voted out. And you know, you'd think it'd be easy in an 8-1, except it wasn't 8-1. It was 7-1 to 1. Technically, it was read out as 6-1 to 1, but I don't think anyone lost their vote because I'm the one that went on the excursion and I didn't lose my vote. So I'm convinced it's 7-1-1. Now you might be wondering who went home. Julia went home. Everyone knew that, but Jude has been spreading all of these things, and it freaked everybody out. And so a lot of us are talking, hey, next tribal, if we go, let's vote out Jude. So funny enough, would it be when the person that receives the votes at tribal council today are Jude and Grace, which is crazy because Jude is probably the person who hasn't talked to people the most, and Grace is one of the most outgoing people. We don't know who Julia voted out. We're never gonna know until the end of the game who Julia randomized and picked. If it was Jude, that's karma, because everyone's pretty convinced that the person who voted out voted Grace to give Grace an idol clue and also for the tie thing. We're all pretty convinced that that's Jude, and I think that's just because Jude was rumoring a name. We don't know which name because Jude never said a name, but if it was Grace, you know, so, or maybe somebody else just voted Jude, thought we had switched, and Grace was the randomized pick. Like, that would be our luck, you know. I think the really good thing is that I'm still here, and Riazzo's here, and Quinn's here, Halid and Grace are here, even if Grace has a vote. Absolutely wild. Like, something that you would call, like, we call it the easiest vote. And tonight would kind of reveal that it's not the easiest vote. Like, there's somebody playing a deeper game. Like, it's what, day 4, 5? Even, not even. Like, if you're playing this much of a game so early on, I'm concerned for my game because I feel like you're gonna come for me next. I'm convinced there's nobody in the haters brunch, so that eliminates quite a few of us. Leaves me with Danae, Esme, Jude, Grace, and Halid are the only people left. So I really don't think Grace or Halid did it, and it leaves us with Danae, Esme, and Jude. And I think it's Jude because Jude's been stirring up trouble. I will say that, Julia, if you're watching this, blame Zeus. Don't blame. I mean, honestly, none of us wanted to see you go. Loved talking to you. I wish you the best of luck with your 3 majors moving forward and your 1 minor. And it was lovely getting to talk to you, even if it was only for 6 minutes. Thank you to the randomizer gods for not choosing me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.